here's kind of where this idea came from. Okay? Our youth group meets every Tuesday. At SIS, we meet in the lower level. We have the cafeteria and the gym. We meet from 7 until 9. And if you are dropping your students off, or if you're in the area, you will see some cars here early. At 6:45, our youth leaders, we meet early to pray about our students, to pray about the night, to talk about the plan for that evening. We run youth group, we have a blast, and then as cars start to leave, the same cars that were there early, they stay late so that we can talk. And every single week, as we are debriefing youth, I always think to myself, man, I wish I could record this and show the rest of you. Because it's really encouraging to hear their passion and their joy and their hope for our next generation. And so that's why we're doing this morning. There's something very hopeful about our next generation. And for me, there's something very hopeful about the people that give up 3 hours every single Tuesday of the year to work with this next generation. And so, we have a small group of them this morning. We have Beth, Steve, Bruce, we have Roxanne on our team, and we have Cyril as well, and I'm Steve. And so here's the plan. We're going to ask some questions. I would love to just let you listen to their thoughts on our youth and what is happening. We will still go to discussions at the end, but hopefully you can be as encouraged as I am every single Tuesday. Thanks for being here this morning. Let's start with a really simple one. I know I just introduced you, but if you want to introduce yourself and why are you giving up 2 to 3 hours every single week? Why did you decide to volunteer?
Well, I guess when I was thinking of this question, I was thinking, why did I start? And why I started and why I continue to do two different kind of explanations. And one is I started because I have a couple of kids who were in youth and junior year. And so I felt an obligation to pitch in. And also, I was really excited that we had Stephen here, and I could sense that it was going to be something that was, I think, meaningful and important to the church, to the energy. But why I continue to go is because it's good for me, because spending time with these young people is, it doesn't happen every moment, but overall, they really do have an energy that I think people of our generation we can learn from, and it just, I learn a lot. I guess I won't want to go on that, but I learn a lot from them, and it's not like academic learning, it's learning about kind of different ways to experience life and things like that. So that was pretty vague, but that's why I continue to go.
Thanks for covering everything, Bruce. Well, yeah, more to add to that, like obviously when I was a youth, we had youth leaders and stuff, and building relationships with these leaders and stuff. I look back and I'm so glad that I did that, because now it's coming full circle where I'm building relationships with the youth. I love seeing the youth every week. It's not like I enjoy making the time to go to youth on Tuesday nights. It's one of the highlights of my week. Honestly, it's a stress for me. I just go and I enjoy hearing the youth and their different interactions, and it just puts a smile on my face and it gives me energy. I don't lose energy by going to youth. You gain energy. It's great.
How much energy I have at the end of the night depends on how much you participated in the sports. I joined youth for similar reasons, because we had kids that were coming to the junior youth ages, and I wanted to give back where our kids were being fed. And also there was a need there. We had an amazing team in place, but it helps to have more bodies. And so I said yes for that. But it's like Bruce and Steve said, it's evolved over time. This team in particular is something really special to be a part of. I never walk away from youth feeling underlying understanding that you can show up wherever you're at, and it's okay, and we can step in for each other as needed and encourage each other as needed, and then that gets passed on to the youth too, and that's a really cool thing to be part of. And I had a lot of really positive experiences as a youth myself in youth group. Some of my best friends are still people that I attended youth group with, and so to be part of something that I know has the potential to have effects 20 years from now is something pretty amazing.
What encourages you about, you've answered this a little bit, what encourages you about our youth, about that generation of people, youth in general? What's encouraging about our students?
See what I did there?
What encourages me about the youth is their ability to be themselves and grow as themselves. It's what I call breakthrough, is when you can see that a youth is comfortable enough to be themselves in front of their friends and feel that they are accepted for being themselves. That is amazing. And that is like, oh, that's super energetic for us as leaders, right? Like, we want every youth to feel involved. And yeah, I can't name names, so. All right, there's a certain youth that, you know, at certain points comes out, not every week, but, you know, trying to be involved and stuff. And it doesn't always work well for the youth, and I could be discouraged by that. But then, all of a sudden, a miracle will happen. And that youth will find a way to connect the next time that they came. And not only just connect in one area, but connect with further conversations and further youth. And, I mean, we were talking about the debrief, and we're all just like, wow, that was amazing. Like, wow. And it stuck with me, and, you know, texting with the parents after, and it was just an amazing night. And that's just one night, it's just one example, but, you know, when the youth can find their own voice and be comfortable, that is truly a special moment.
A couple of things that I find encouraging working with youth. It's really encouraging to be around people who don't expect you to have it all figured out. They just want you to be there. And we need that with adults, and we need it with youth, and I think that we get that. It's a mutual thing when we're hanging out with the people who come up to youth, because we get to just be together instead of trying to meet some ideal, and that's a really encouraging thing to be around. And there's something remarkable about getting to see teenagers and tweens shine, and in a space where nobody's ordering them to do things that they really don't want to do, which is what school can be a lot of. You get to see all of these parts of their personality shine, and see this possibility of what's to come through the rest of their lives, and that is a really remarkable thing to witness. As a leader, and the leadership that we have in place has also encouraged me to roll with things a little more. And that is a wonderful life skill that translates far beyond Tuesday nights.
What encourages me about youth and junior youth is their openness to new ideas. Is like every generation has strengths and weaknesses and differences. I shouldn't say strengths and weaknesses, but differences. And the difference that this group of youth and junior youth has is their ability to be open to new things. And I think it requires vulnerability and confidence, those two things at the same time, which seem sort of opposite, but they allow themselves to be interested in things that I think when I was young I would have been guarded about. And whether it's music or talking about the Bible or sharing with each other about struggles in school or whatever, they have a vulnerability and they listen, and I'm encouraged by that the next generation will have this openness and vulnerability. It's a confidence that they have, so I'm impressed with that.
I I'm going to try not to share a lot because I speak enough as is, but I can't help but jump on that and say, last year I had the great opportunity to start coaching basketball at the high school, and that has been fantastic. At bare minimum, it has been fantastic to be able to talk to teachers. And the reason that has been fantastic is there's teachers in particular who, as soon as they know who the students are that they're working with at youth, say, we're not exaggerating when we say they're changing our high school for the better. Which is pretty crazy. A school of, yeah. A school of, I don't know what it is, 1,500 people, and for a number of teachers to be able to all say, without coordinating their answers together, say, those students are making a difference. That's remarkable. They're valuing diversity, they're valuing inclusion, they're valuing safe space for people. They're phenomenal. It's pretty easy to be encouraged as a leader when we work with these students. Do you have one encouraging story that we could share with our church?
So when I was jotting down notes and thinking about some of the qualities that we see in our youth, and some of the things that came to mind was that they are deep thinkers, really perceptive, hilarious, and kind. And the one encouraging story I wanted to share really it speaks to their kindness. Stephen led an activity a couple of times at youth where we stood in a circle and turned to the person to our right and shared something that we appreciate about them. And everyone's reaction to hearing this activity described was really apprehensive and, this is going to be so awful. But then when everyone gets into the activity, some really lovely thoughts came out. And you could just see everyone rising a little higher from it. And the extra encouraging thing that happened at that activity one week is that there was a youth who was not at the event that night. And it happened that another youth started texting that person after our time together on Tuesday night to say, hey, we did this activity tonight. Here's something I want to tell you that I appreciate about you. Here's something I notice about you. And it started this conversation where our youth carried on what happened on Tuesday night and just spent some time building one another up. And that just blew me away.
That was a great night. I was actually thinking of that story too. And yeah, just listening to the words of encouragement being said to each other, and those it was amazing. And then they would say things to us too, and I'm just like, wow. These youth are so perspective. You can't hold anything back when anyone's going on. They can see through anything that's fake. So it's fantastic for having real conversations and promoting real conversations. I don't know if I have another story to go. I'm kind of waiting long here. I'll pass it off to Bruce if I come up with another story.
It's tough to put into words what we experience with these folks because it's just that's the way meaningful things tend to be. And so I can look at every youth and junior youth and tell you a story about them that is special to me. But I hope I don't get emotional when I say this, but something that I really appreciate is we have this kind of mantra of we belong. And when I'm there, they make me feel like I belong, which is so unusual for youth. Because usually they make adults feel like, they don't. I feel like I belong when I'm there. It's my small group, it's my attunement group, and they are encouraging of adults too. So I know that's not a specific case, but I literally can look at every one of them and think of, and I just am so grateful for that. So thank you.
what kind of environment are we creating on Tuesdays? We talk about it a lot, but all of you in our church probably don't know what goes into it. So what is valuable for you in the environment that we're trying to see happen? Last question. Where do you feel hopeful about our students? Where do you feel hope? At youth group? With the students that we work with? Where's the hope?
I feel hopeful that something that has mattered to me and is being able to have a sensing and an awareness of God. And I'm hopeful that I think these young people, I think that's happening. And I know from my younger life that there's sometimes a departure from focusing on that, but that if those seeds are planted, I think it'll be part of their life in some way in the future.
Yeah, and adding on to that, I mean, not all the youth that come on Tuesday nights are here tonight because they don't attend here, and that's totally cool. But it shows not only that, you know, we're trying to create a safe space for different youth, but different youth feel confident enough that they can ask their friends to come out or talk about, hey, I'm doing this at SIS on Tuesday nights, maybe you should come out. Like it's just more stuff that's building. And yeah, community kids coming in are valued just as much. And we do what we can to try to make them feel included and get plugged in.
I want to be careful. Sometimes when you say the word junior high or high school student or teenager, the ideas that conjure up in the brains of adults aren't always encouraging. And any teens I've talked to pick up on that when that's the vibe. That teenagers are remarkable human beings, and where I find hope is, Stephen alluded to it, there is this ripple effect happening out in our community because of this group of young people that meet through this congregation. I've heard about it through the high school, I've heard about it at other community events where a group of youth happened to be at something, and the leaders were just like, that was such an amazing group of kids. And then I see these youth taking ownership of the world. They take on leadership roles here. They're taking on leadership roles in their school communities or their clubs. They are they're leading their friend groups, largely because they're feeling good about who they are. They're gaining a strong sense of identity, and unleashing that into the world is an incredibly hopeful thing, and it just makes my heart swell when I think about it.
It is really easy to work with youth because they give as much to you as you do to them. It feels very reciprocal, which is beautiful. And I think you all know it, but we genuinely feel like our students are amazing. Here's a really big philosophy that we have in our youth group, just so you can be prepared. I believe that the research says every student is one caring adult away from being successful in every part of their life. And so I feel extremely grateful that we have people that say Tuesdays matter, and I'm going to be that caring, genuine adult in these students' lives every single week of the year. But there's also moments where you come in. We want you to know what our students are up to because we we love what they're doing, and we feel like you have a part to play as well. And so if you ever get an email from me asking a strange request, it's there for a reason, right? You could be that one caring, genuine adult that checks in and is there for a moment, but it still makes a difference. And I guarantee you, because I know these students, they're going to make a big difference in your life as well, because they're remarkable. And so, thank you for listening this morning. Can you turn to somebody to your left and say, you belong here? Can you turn to someone to your right and say, I'm so glad you're here this morning? Can you, if you're acrobatic enough, can you look behind you and say, you belong here? And let's look at someone. Sorry, I was coaching yesterday. Maybe I was yelling a little too much. Look to someone that you haven't said something to this morning and say, you're made in God's image. If you're willing, can we stand or extend an arm or something? I'd really like to pray for our youth leaders. I'd like us to pray for our church, for our youth. I'd like to be extremely grateful for this building we're in right now that allows us to extend into our community. Let me pray. God, thank you that you are present in our lives, in our communities, in this church. Thank you that you can speak through students, and you often do. Thank you for these leaders and their willingness to bring your presence into gymnasiums and cafeterias. Thank you for silly games and how everyone can succeed because everyone is valuable. Thank you for our parents, for our spiritual brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles, for our community here. Thank you that all belong because you accept everyone. Thank you for your divine love for this world, and I pray that we can play a small part in that. Thank you for this morning and for Tuesday nights in your name. Amen. Let's give it up for our youth leaders.